Hello, everyone. Today we're talking about great administrators. So, Jake, what would you say is important in a great administrator? And have you had one, maybe two, you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I would say that when I look at an administrator, I feel like they have to have two roles and they're always balancing it. One is instruction. They're the instruction leader on the campus. And if they're not that strong in that, hopefully they have some APs that are strong and so forth. The second piece I believe that administrators should have is being a leader, a positive leader. Okay. And I think you also have to have a little charisma with that. So all within that leadership piece. So instruction, leader. And now you're asking me regarding which administrator in my experience has been the top.
Yes.
I have a couple that stand out. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was just thinking the other day, I've had 10 principals in my career, going back to say I Soledad and Richmond Action to the two schools after, and countless assistant principals. Okay, probably 30, maybe more than that. But so that being said, I've had quite a bit. So to pick a couple, it's difficult because there's some really good ones. Okay, and there's some who struggled. But I would say my number one on the top of the list would have to be a gentleman by the name of Herman Serta. He's now up north as an assistant superintendent. So I wasn't the only one who thought he was great. There were other people who also thought he was a pretty good instructor, not instructor, but administrator. So I first met him years ago when he was an assistant principal at this Elizabeth Learning School where I worked at. And then later on, he became my mentor when I did my administrative credential and all that. And I went to him and he was so good to do that for me and to be that mentor. And then eventually he asked me to come to my current school. So now what makes him great is not that he, helped me out, but he helped a lot of people out. He was definitely a mentor administrator. And I mentioned you need to be the instruction leader on your campus. And also you need to be this positive, charismatic person. Well, he was definitely a positive, charismatic person. People, he lit up a room. And what I mean by that is that when he came in, people were listening, paying attention, and you always wanted to please him. I always felt like I needed to do a good job. I mean, I felt like he believed in me, so I need to, definitely do my darndest to do my best, right? And I did. And I've seen people who didn't do their best, and he was not, he would definitely get to you and talk to you if you were not doing what you were supposed to be doing. And I saw that. I never wanted to be that person where he was talking to, because I just wanted to please the guy. I just really wanted to work hard. And so, and regarding instruction, I don't think he was in the classroom too long, but he's a smart dude. He always had people around him who were really good instruction. And now he was fine too. I'll tell you this, a few years ago, we got a 6-year an extension to our WASC. The WASC came in, this group of people that come in to evaluate your school, how you're doing, and they give you an accreditation for 1 year, 3 years. Well, during his last year at my school, we got a 6-year, which is pretty unheard of, 6 years. And it's because he put a team together himself to being the instructional leaders that he put together. We just really benefited from that. And now, we're now at our 6th year and we're going to have that happen again. And I hope we do get that, but it's difficult. And he was able to, like I said, get people around him who were great instructors, teaching, not only great instructors, but also able to be good leaders on the campus. He definitely mentored, like I shared before, like he mentored me. So there's so much I can say about him. He's still in my life. I still have contact with him every so often with the email or even on Facebook and I just see that he's just excelling still because of his charisma, because people, want to do well when he's in the room. And when he speaks, you listen and you want him to notice that you're doing your darndest. So yeah, that would be Herman Serta. So I had a second one. Do you want me to share that now, or do you want to go ahead and I feel like I've been talking too long?
No, I think For me,
Mm-hmm.
the qualities that stand out in an administrator, I think the first one would have to be competence, because
Oh, yeah.
we are um, relying on the leader to ensure that the school is even going to operate.
Sure.
Or are we going to get dinged? You mentioned WASC.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at that. There's also school district oversights of occasionally coming in. There's also, if you're working at a charter school, there's also another oversight. And it seems to be in the last, both schools work at, the one I work at now and the one before, there's just so many audits, people coming in, looking at your paperwork if you're in SPED. So competence comes up, is important. And
Sure.
also, can you lead? Can people follow? Is there something about a leader's voice? I think of two. One I won't mention now because it's somebody where I work right now. And maybe in the future I'll have her on. But very competent, very knowledgeable. And there's something about someone like that you want to listen to and you lean on for support. And I'm thinking also of somebody I used to work with, former principal, school I used to work at, New Village, Javier Guzman. And we've mentioned him before on this podcast, but somebody who, when he speaks, people listen, and a good persuader. If I could find a better word, I would find it, but somebody who can speak, and not by act of force or by directions that are, lording over people, but more of by way of questions. And so it was really intimidating at first because I was coming from a very structured environment, consequences, staff around us supporting, and bells and everything traditional to the New Village model, big picture learning, no bells on campus, no consequences, at least not in the traditional sense. It was just up to you to support your students and to teach them. And man, about half the campus rebelled. The teachers were not appreciative of that. And for me, I had to dig deep and I had to get creative. And what it did is it made us better teachers because, a lot of times we rely on these consequences. Oh, if you don't listen to me, you're out. And instead it's like, what am I going to do to engage? And he really asked good questions to get us thinking in terms of that. Whereby the last year there, I didn't even think about things like that. They were meaningless to me. Bells and getting the kid in trouble, sending him to the office, none of that was meaningful. We survived and we thrived. And then, by the way, he emphasized a culture of community, that he wanted us to create an environment that made the students feel welcome and in a way loved and nurtured. And he provided that. He became friends to us, and we would go over his house. We met his family, his wife. His wife's an actress in Hollywood, so that was interesting. But there was never any errors about him or her. And we became friends. We were in a community as teachers and staff. And so it was a very natural thing to do that with our students. So he modeled that for us. And yes, he would definitely be my favorite administrator.
What was his name again? You said
Javier Guzman.
Javier Guzman, that's right. Okay. Wow. And I just want to throw out another shout out to one of my current assistant principals who, his name is Marcelo Martinez. He just has a couple of things that I've just learned from, like the way he talks to people and he listens to them. Like at department meetings, he'll listen. And sometimes people, you've been in department meetings before. Sometimes people like to go a different direction, and he'll let them know that he's listening. But he'll show that respect. At the same time, he knows how to get back onto the agenda without making them feel that they haven't been listened to. You know, and it is not something easy to do. And to also, even if this person sounds like they may not be cooperating, he knows to just, the way he talks to them, it kind of calms down the situation, calms down the person. And so I've just been studying him. I go, how does he do this? And I think it's taken time for him to just be that type of person. Or maybe he was born with that, just to be able to just communicate like that. And also, I know about a year before the pandemic, I was ill, I had a little illness, and I was a little concerned about it. And I went to him and shared with him. And you know what? I know he kept my confidence, and he was always concerned about me. I just felt like, you know, it's nice to know that your bosses care about you, right? And that they are looking out for you. And I felt that by him. And he's just a good man. I mean, you know, we call him a good man. That's what I think of Marcelo. He's a good man who is doing his best, and he's just a fantastic administrator. And so Herman Cerda, Marcelo Martinez, and there's others who've been really instrumental in my even education of learning how to be a better teacher, even learning administration, how that works, and appreciating what they do, because they have a tough gig. They do.
Well, very good. And thank you for watching, everybody. And I appreciate that. Like the video, leave a comment about what it takes to be a great leader in a school. It isn't easy.
It's not.
And teachers can be pretty tough. Never mind the students. What about the teachers sometimes? So thank you, everybody. I'll see you next time.